So we're just gonna start from number 1 and go down the line. You know what that audio is that says, like, why do I make them so uncomfortable? Zeus has a reason to make me uncomfortable. If you don't know the reason, you need to educate yourself. If you already know the reason, that's why you here. I'm not just uncomfortable. I'm terrified, I'm stressed, and I want you to stay away from me. Since I made that video, it is going to be raining for the next 9 days here in Missouri. Here in STL. What have I done? Like, I'm sorry that I said it, but like, was anything that I said technically wrong? At this point, I'm pursuing a restraining order. He cannot have me or my booty. He cannot have me under the willow tree. Me and Zeus are not meant to be. It will never happen, Zeusy, at least not with me. But I will be over here commingling with Loki. Whether in a relationship or single, you understand my reason. I don't care what anybody says, it does not count as treason. We're gonna keep going down this line because Poseidon, I don't like you either. Like, I hate your brother more, but you're just as bad. You know what you did. Oh, you don't remember her name? Need I enlighten you? Pretty sure you got more babies than your brother. How's that going for you? That's a lot of child support. Oh, you're not paying? He's not paying. You're the god of the sea, but some of them are clean and the other ones are very dirty. What's up with that? Like, I understand everything that's been going on with your parents, right? I understand you want your family line to go on. But at some point, I feel like you're just gonna have to settle down. Maybe with a woman. Or a man. Or a horse. Sorry, too far. Like, it's too much, bro. It's too much. Your face be changing in every movie I see you in. And I thought you were strong, but in every video game I see you in, you get your ass beat. What's up with that? Now, I know a lot of people gonna say differently, but Hades, you're not off the hook either. I'm sorry. You might be one of the most chillest of the gods, but I got a little bit of a bone to pick with you. We ain't gonna talk about your story with Persephone. We're not gonna talk about that. Would you have let Orpheus' wife go if Persephone was not there? We're not talking about Disney's Hercules, Hades either. No, we're talking about the other one. Like, there can be a list of all the bad things that Hades has done, but I feel like none of them top the crimes that his brother did. Either one of his brothers, actually, really. Like, there might be a couple things here and there, but other than that, I'm like, you fine with me, dog, really. He's one of the gods that's low-key kind of just misunderstood. He doesn't really get that much worship because people fear him. And why do they fear him? Because he's associated with death, which is some BS on my half. But we would rather worship somebody that kills people by looking at her husband. That would turn you into a monster just because you're prettier than her. He fine with me, dog, really. Aries, you gonna learn to leave people the fuck alone. You know that audio that's like, how many times we gotta teach you this lesson, old man? How many times does Kratos have to teach you, Aries, before you get the point to stay down like the wounded dog you are? And then even in the anime, he kept wanting to pursue Persephone. Like, get the hint, she don't want you, bro. To the point where Hades had to intervene. Keep in mind, Hades, you are chill, you cool. Aries, take a hint and walk away. Shenanigans that you and Aphrodite got up to, not cool, bro. You gonna act like you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I'll see you in court. A bitter man and a jealous woman. Y'all go great together. Still a bitch is what I'm saying. I know in God of War y'all weren't technically together, but here's the kicker. Just about an hour or two after I found your body in God of War, I found Aphrodite's chambers. Oh, you know good and damn well I pressed that circle button, and that X button, and the square button, and that arrow button. We got our stuff done. And Hermes was watching too. They ain't even attempt to stop me. They know better. Aphrodite, we finna talk about you. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I cannot tell you how many people in my comment section say they will not willingly give themselves to you. No disrespect, but you were just a little bit jealous. We all know what you did to Eros. But we're not gonna talk about that. There's a specific version of that story as well with another thing that you did, but we're not gonna talk about that either. For somebody that is considered the most beautiful woman on the planet with no competition at all, you still got the biggest jealousy issues of everybody. You have effigies, you have statues, you have so many depictions of you being the most beautiful thing any man, woman, child, animal has ever set their eyes on, and yet you still get jealous if somebody's looking at somebody else, but that's not you. I don't understand. You know what? I'm done talking about your jealousy issues. Let's talk about something else. You have blood on your hands. You know this. We know this. We're just gonna let it be like that. Do I want my blood on your hands? Absolutely not. Honey, just get the divorce. There is no other way here, okay? There just isn't. You're listening to me. I gotta be careful. Moving on to the next Greek myth. Hera. Honey, the things that I can say about you. You are something. And it's crazy because you feel no hate to anybody but your husband. But you punish everybody but your husband. I gotta be careful with what I say. It's been thunderstorming a lot over here. And in Blood of Zeus, Hermes just walked past you and you called him a bastard. I get you're a queen, but you can't just say anything that you want to. What do you think you are? Cersei? No. Like, you legitimately tried to kill Artemis and Apollo's mother and Artemis Apollo. But what did you do to Zeus? It takes two to tango. Come on now. In hindsight, you're going about punishing people that may or may not even have had a choice in the situation that they're in. And it's the fact that you have to live with these people. And it's made abundantly clear that you do not like these people. The fact that you barely like Athena, but you try to get along with her. No, you don't. You don't try to get along with nobody but yourself. He's going to continue to do what he does. And you want to know what the fucked up part is? This woman has remained faithful. Why? I don't know. Ain't Hera like Zeus' sister? That is neither here nor there. What I'm trying to get at is, why isn't he getting punished just as equally as everybody else? Your jealousy issues know no bounds. She is constantly letting her temper guide her judgment, and this is where she acts like a wench instead of a queen. Like, I understand that she has trust issues. Understandable, because her husband is a serial cheater. Probably a little bit more than that, considering some people might not have consented. But does that mean that you also have to be a dick about the situation and punish the wrong person? Today we're going to be talking about Apollo. A lot of y'all been waiting for this one. So you may be wondering, Alex, where do you get all your knowledge? Books? I don't use Wikipedia. These. All of these. Like, I will always do my research. We got Apollo on page 37 and it's 6 pages long. We got myths and legends books. Look how thick this bitch is. Okay? This doesn't just have Greek stuff. It has classical Greek, Celtic, Norse, Chinese, African, Native American, and more. Anyway, let's get into it. Oh, patron of music, patron of math, patron of poetry, patron of medicine? Really? Somebody that did a lot of great things, you also got a couple of bad things under your notch. Did y'all know this man was almost expelled from the company of the gods 3 times? This is if everything that he did was against Zeus's wishes. And I know a lot of y'all know about the tale of Apollo and that satyr Merceus. That was not fair. If you don't know, go ahead and go check that myth out. You want the aftermath? He flayed him alive and nailed him to a tree. I mean, a bird came up to him and wanted to start on some BS, and he cursed this crow, and now all the crows have been black ever since. This god has stolen from the depths of Tartarus itself and angered Hades to the point where Hades had to go to his brother and say, hey, your kid is stealing from me. What's the deal with that? Once again, he was banished from the godly court into one of Zeus's ex-affairs. Went and was like, hey, you remember all the good times we had? So he was like, yeah, baby, I remember. And then brought him back, much to Hades' dismay. This man is not holier than thou. This man has blood on his hands of many people. This man was willing to off his own girl because she rejected him, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. So he brought Artemis into the mix to do it. And he didn't want anything to do with the baby that was in her stomach. So he asked Hermes to do the baby in. And Hermes didn't do it. And Hermes instead gave the baby to Chiron, where he was raised. Still be your patron god. This video is not meant to be offensive to anybody. I love all gods, Greek, Chinese, any of that. Put in the comment section what you want me to talk about next. Today's the day. Let's talk about Hermes. It should be fun. And FYI BTW, I don't put out any videos that I do not fact check my intel at least 4 to 5 times. Hermes is indeed the son of Zeus and the half-brother of Apollo. When I tell you this man was committing crimes from the night he was born, I'm not exaggerating. The night that he was born, this man snuck out, crawled out of his crib to seek adventure, went to a field and was like, ooh, I want those. And it said in his ears that they belonged to Apollo. And he said, I don't care. I want them anyway. And he took Apollo's entire herd. So that's fun. Keep in mind, this man is less than a day old. And then Apollo went to the field the next morning and heard about it. And he was like, your baby brother did it. Your baby brother did it. He didn't know that he had a baby brother at the time. So he was like, you all are stupid. I cannot believe you. Keep this in mind for later. The farmer that snitched to Apollo that it was his baby brother, Hermes bought him off for his silence and he snitched anyway. Apollo then walked by a cave that he walked by a lot, and there was Phoebe sitting with a baby in her lap. And he was like, oh, hey, I see you got a new baby. Let me introduce myself. And she was like, yeah, come meet your half-brother Hermes. And Apollo was like, brother? And she was like, what's the matter? And he was like, oh, I was just down at the field and all my cows were missing and the farmer told me that my baby brother was the one that stole them and you're the only person that I've seen with a new baby, so what's going on? She just said, you really believe that it was a baby less than a day old who stole your cows? And the baby literally sat up and started talking. And he was like, yes, dear brother, it was me that stole your cows. All of them are safe besides one of which I've sacrificed. And for that one, I will give you this lyre. It's a musical instrument that I crafted myself. Ow. Take it. So he was like, what a great trade. And he actually traded that for the cow that he lost. As time went on, Hermes got older. They both grew up and everything like that. He was like, hey, you're making other musical instruments. That one sounds better than the one that you gave me. So what is it? And he explained to him what it is. And then he was like, I'll trade you that for your golden staff. And Apollo was like, I'm a herdsman. Do you not know of my professionalism? Or are you a little not all the way up here? And he was like, oh, I know, but I want it anyway. It's a fair trade, right? He literally told Apollo, now that you have two musical instruments, that will make you the god of music and me the herder god, correct? I will take over your profession if you take over this one. And he was like, yeah, whatever, give me the musical instrument. So he gave him his gold staff and he became the messenger of the gods and everything like that. And he was like, do you want to meet Zeus? He was like, yes, I would love to meet Father Zeus. So Zeus gave him a trial. He became the messenger of the gods, started going down to Tartarus and everything like that. However, turns back around. Oh, he did not forget about the farmer that snitched. He went back and he got his get back and he turned this man to stone because he snitched even though I thought we had a deal. No. That, the stealing of the cows, the creation of Pandora, which then caused most of the destruction around the world, and a couple of other things, along with being cunning and deceiving and other things for his own amusement, are a lot of the bad things that Hermes has done. Other than that, I still find this man a very cool god. Yes, he does count as one of the 12 gods. He turned people into animals. He drove people to... We're talking about somebody that not only achieved famine in the world, even tried to produce immortality on a child. She attempted it. Did she succeed? So, without further ado, here's the tale of Demeter. Yes, this story involves Persephone, but we're not going to delve too deeply. We're just going to give a quick overview. Y'all know Demeter has more than one kid, right? It's not just Persephone. She has 6 kids in total. Persephone just happens to be the most famous. Here's the overview. Hades kidnapped Persephone. Demeter was wondering where Persephone, her only daughter, was, found Persephone's belongings by the shore, went up to Zeus being like, hey, your brother took him. He was like, actually, he's your brother too, mind you. And I think that this could be good for Persephone, our daughter. She sees that Zeus has basically already been bought out by Hades. So she's like, oh, I'm not getting nowhere with you. Fine, I'm going to leave and not come back. So he said, yeah, you're a woman. You go. And when you calm down, you can come back. She said, whatever. She did not come back until Zeus called her because he's hearing the lamentation of his citizens down below. So he's like, what the hell is going on? No trees, no plants, no seeds, no crops, no corns, no field. Demeter did not let anything grow because as she grieved, the world was grieving with her. Zeus called her back up to Olympus. He's like, perhaps I haven't been particularly fair to you. And she said, no, you haven't. He said, do you still wish for our daughter's return? She said, yes. He said, fine. I will talk to my brother about it. As long as she has not eaten anything down there, she will be able to come back with you and stay with you. Demeter said she would have been too sad to eat. Little did she know, Persephone did end up eating some pomegranate seeds, 6 of them to be in fact. By the ruling of the law that Zeus just made, she had to stay with Hades for 6 months out of the year. Demeter did not agree with the ruling. She said, as long as my daughter is gone, I will grieve until her return. No crops are going to grow, no corn will be sown, nothing is going to happen. As long as I grieve, the world will grieve with me because I'm going to force them to. So basically that's why winter came and she caused the entire world famine and basically almost killed a bunch of people because she wanted her daughter's return. When her daughter finally came back to her, everything was happy again. Flowers were blooming, seeds were blooming, people got to eat. You may be wondering, who did she turn into an animal? So there was this guy, Asclepios. He was the one that pressured Persephone into eating this pomegranate. He was like, we're alone now. Eat while you can. And so she ate of it. And so when Demeter found out that it was him that basically pressured Persephone into doing it, she pinned this man under a rock and turned him into an owl. So that's fun. What about this baby you're talking about? Who did she try to attempt immortality on? So while Persephone was gone, Demeter was grieving her daughter's return. She went among the common folk and disguised herself as an old little panhandler, I guess you can call it, saying that she was running because someone tried to sell her for slavery. The daughters that were there with her, feeling bad, took them back home with her to their mother. Their mother was holding a small baby in their arms. It was a boy. Mother couldn't get the boy to latch onto her breast, so Demeter was like, here, let me help you. Demeter then took the boy into her breast and the mother was happy, but the mother was saying like, that's sus. One night she watches this lady who she still does not know is the goddess Demeter. So Demeter not only fed this baby ambrosia in order to attempt to make him immortal, but she also put him in the fireplace, and it still didn't work. So the mother took her child, and then Demeter revealed herself as a beautiful goddess, told them who she was, and basically was like, if you want to win favor with me again, you're going to build me a temple. So they did exactly that as they stood there in shock and awe as Demeter just disappeared. So they built her a temple, and then Demeter was like, okay, cool, you built me a temple. Now I'm going to go grieve in that said temple. Needless to say, that baby did not get immortality. If you don't know the story of Arachne, that's basically the one that she drove to because she was comparing her beauty to Athena's. Y'all waited, y'all voted, y'all wandered over yonder. I am here now, and I'm going to give you a story to ponder. Here is the tale of Artemis, the maiden. Woman of many names, maiden of the night, goddess of the hunt, goddess of the moon, breaker of chains and mother of... Wait a minute. Anyway, y'all already know the backstory. She's a sister of Apollo, born to the same mother, Leto. We're going to get into it. So unlike Apollo automatically getting what he wanted, Zeus wanted Artemis to ask for shit. To which she did. He said, okay, I want a spicy McGriddle and 10 McNuggets. I want a large fry. So he said, you can have that and more. She got everything she ever wanted. She got her silver bows, silver arrows that refilled whenever they were empty. She got a pack of hounds from Pan. 10 dogs exactly of his best, to be exact. Another thing that she wanted was a vow of chastity. She wanted to be a maiden her entire life. She became one of the 3 maidens of Vesta, Athena, and herself. As did the servants that were with her. Every one of her servants has to take a vow of chastity. An unbreakable vow. Harry Potter. Anyway, because she was all these things don't necessarily mean that she was nice. I probably heard about the story of the man that was watching her bathe in the pond. Don't have that story. She was bathing in a pond. A guy came upon her. She was scrubbing herself off or whatever. He watched her for a minute. She realized that he was watching her, turned him into a stag, and then whistled for her dogs, and they came and tore his ass apart. Same story with one of her maidens. I believe her name was Callisto. Zeus fell in love with her, wanted to be with her, so she turned this girl into a bear and then whistled for her dogs. But Zeus decided to just whisk this girl away and put her in the stars in the shape of a bear so her Hera would never find out. By the way, the only reason that she actually turned the girl into a bear and was going to kill her is because she thought she broke her unbreakable vow of chastity on purpose. She didn't know that Zeus forced her. This girl did not play about her vows. Anyway, that's not all she did. But it wasn't just Artemis, you're right. Artemis, with her brother Apollo, killed Niobe's children when she was bragging that she had more kids than their mom. You don't talk about somebody else's mama and don't expect to reap the consequences. There was another girl, her name was Cronus. She fell in love with Apollo and then became his lover. Perfectly normal, right? Wrong. She decided to go on and have an affair and cheat on Apollo, so Artemis killed her. Talk about the on-site crew. The soldiers refused to sacrifice a maiden. She called a storm force of wind so strong that the soldiers from Troy could not cross the Aegean Ocean. Ocean? Ocean. Enunciate, Alex, enunciate. Let's just say specifically for Artemis, do not disrespect her. Do not talk about her mama. Do not talk about her brother. Just don't do anything with Artemis unless it's worship her. If you know that you have a vow of chastity, take care of it. And if you know that you're in love with somebody else's brother, maybe don't cheat. Especially when they got a sister that's on the on-site crew. Whatever. Who's next? Greek mythology buffs, y'all have waited. And it is time for the next one. Y'all decided on somebody that I actually did not think that y'all was going to decide on. Y'all wanted me to do somebody's kids rather than y'all wanted me to do Athena, which says a lot about y'all. Which I'm kind of happy about because I did not want to be added to this woman's list. So today, we are talking about Eros. There is a lot to say about this man. Let's just start with who he is. Aphrodite's son, so you know it's about to be on all bullshit. Think of this man like Loki. Devilish good looks, but he is mischievous as hell. He came along exactly with Aphrodite. In the sea foam, he was born along with all of his siblings. He ain't the only sibling. I hope y'all know that. It's important to me that y'all know that. Anyway, Eros, while he was a very disobedient child, was very loyal to his mother. Some people say he's the child of Aphrodite and Eris. Some people say Aphrodite and Zeus, Aphrodite and Hermes. We just gonna go with Eris from right now. That's where he gets his asshole this from. He can also get it from his mama too. You know what? Whatever. Let's just start with the simplest one. There once was a girl named Psyche who brought jealousy to Aphrodite. Therefore, she sent her son with consequences that could not be undone. And everything ended up in a whirl. The end. That's the end of the video. I'm just kidding. Don't you go nowhere. I already did a video about Aphrodite, so there's a whole other backstory on her and Eris, so go check that out if you haven't already. There once was a girl named Psyche. She was born with other siblings, parents, whatever. This girl was magnificent. Magnificent? Magnificent. Let's just say this woman's beauty was enough to rival Aphrodite's, and Aphrodite got a little bit jealous. Therefore, she called her son. She said, take up your arrows and shoot this bitch. He asked why. He literally was like, she's beautiful. That's the only problem. And Aphrodite was like, exactly, that's the only problem. Shoot this hoe. Therefore, he didn't even argue. He was just like, you know what? Whatever. So he went down there, readied his arrows. If you don't know about his arrows, they cause people to fall in love. That was his job. Basically call this man Cupid, but they're not the same. This man's arrows never miss. So therefore, he went down there, looked upon her. He was like, you know what? She is kind of cute, but I got a job to do. So then he shot her, and he was like, the first person that she opens her eyes, she's gonna fall in love with. So he tried to skedaddle up out of there. Did not work. She awoke, opened up her eyes, and his flabbers were gasted. Something happened that never ever happened before, and he accidentally sliced his hand with one of his own arrows, and then he looked at this girl and he actually fell in love with her. She closed her eyes again, didn't get to see his actual face, but her face was burning in his mind though. He went back up and he told his mother what had happened. She basically disowned his ass because his ass was a stupid motherfucker that did the opposite of what she wanted. He had full well intent to marry this girl, and Aphrodite was not having it. So she said, okay, I'm going to send a curse to where there are invisible thorns encompassing her. Therefore, she can't be in love with nobody. No man is going to go near her. Completely, it was the opposite. Even her sisters got married, and she was the more good-looking one. And instead, no man ever came near her, and that made Eros mad. He said, if you're going to do this to her, how about I never do any work for you ever again? I'm not going to shoot no more arrows. I'm not going to make nobody fall in love. How about that? Aphrodite said, deuces. So then it happened. He didn't do his job. Nobody fell in love. Since nobody was falling in love, there was no worship to Aphrodite, no wisdom coming from Aphrodite because nobody was falling in love. Therefore, nobody was falling in love. No more fishermen wanted to do their jobs. No more people wanted to plow the snow, plow the fields and everything like that because they weren't feeling any emotions other than work. Therefore, she did what she had to. She called her son. She was like, I see that you are not going to do what I want to unless I give you something. So therefore, I'm going to give you something. He was like, what do you want? He said, I want Psyche. She said, it's done. Whatever. Bye. Oh. Gathered his arrows, started doing his job. People started falling in love. More wisdom and stuff came to Aphrodite. People were visiting her temple. She was happy. He was happy. He was content. He wanted to marry this girl. Therefore, he sent her up to the mountain. This video is already long enough, so we're not going to delve into what the hell happened up on that mountain or what happened after the mountain came down. We're not talking about any of that. If y'all want to see an extra video to that, stay part 2. I want to see a lot of butterflies in my comment section if y'all want to see part 2 about Eros and Psyche. But let's just say it was a lot. All caught up. Let's continue. Throughout all of this mess, Psyche's parents were still grieving, so they went back to the oracle and they were like, WTF? The oracle basically told them, she is not meant to love a mortal man. The oracle told them, she is to be the bride of the man in the mountains. Take her to the mountains and say deuces and never see her again. As soon as the oracle said this, they thought that their daughter was intended for some type of monster or something. So they did what they could. They dressed her in jewels to appease anything that might happen to her, and everybody dressed as if it was a funeral service instead of a wedding. Psyche, she didn't even cry. She said bye to her mom and dad. They left, and she stood there looking over the cliff for a little while. Then a wind arose and said, fear not, I am Zephyrus. I'm the groom's messenger. I've come to take you home. She followed this wind to a nice, beautiful golden gate. The gates opened. She was presented with a huge castle-like place. Carpets rolled out. Food appeared on the table, but she was eating alone. She said, where's my boo thing? And he said, fear not, he's on his way. Just eat. So she sat there, she ate dinner, she went to the bathroom, she bathed herself, and then she anointed herself and waited for her husband, to which he finally came. Keep in mind, this is the middle of the night. He said, you are Psyche. Fear not, I am your husband. She was already entranced by this voice. She knew him as her husband. We know this man as Jack and Hagar. He said, you were the most beautiful girl in the world, to the point where the goddess of love herself grew jealous of you. She said, where are you? And he was like, I'm right here. But I might wear glasses, but I still can't see you. So she reached out her hand and she was able to feel his chiseled frame. So now that she knew it to be true, that he was a man of his word, that she could finally be in love with somebody that loved her the most, she lived out the next days, even if it was alone. She was happy, she danced around the castle, whatever. And at night, her husband would come and tell her sweet nothings in her ear. And he would always ask her, "Can I get you anything?" She said, "No, just you. I want your body." She said, "I want to see you. I want to gaze upon your beauty." He said, "Nah, fam. It don't work like that. You have to be patient." He wondered if she was just growing a little bit upset because, she's alone. So he was like, "How about I get your sisters to come up to the mountain? Will that make you happy?" And she was like, "Oh, I have family? Bitch, you forgot?" So he sent his messenger to invite her sisters up back to the mountain, and they went, and they were so happy to see Psyche. They were like, "Oh my God, who is your husband? We must meet him." And she was like, "You're not going to." They said, "I knew it. He's a monster." Her sisters basically thought that she was being this high, mighty, proud bitch that was like, "You're not going to see him. Ever." And they were like, "The oracle was right. You basically have married a monster." And she was like, "No, he's actually one of the most beautiful creatures you've ever seen." And they were like, "Beautiful creatures usually like to be shown and seen." So they basically told this girl at dinner, the more you eat, the more he'll eat you later. Pause. So Psyche said, "I don't want to hear another word of it," and basically kicked them out. She knew that her husband was good. She knew that he was beautiful, so why wouldn't he allow her to see him? So that night when he came, he was like, "Are you all right?" And she was like, yes, acting like nothing was wrong. But in her mind, she was coming up with a plan. That night, she waited for him to go to sleep. She took a little candlelight or something, went to his room and shined it in his face. And there he was, the god of love, Eros, lying in his bed, the most beautiful chiseled features you had ever seen. That was her mistake. Leaned over to kiss him on the cheek while he was asleep, and the oil from the lamp hit his shoulder, and he awoke. He said, "You're an ungrateful, selfish wretch." Basically telling her that she was not ready to accept love, telling her who he was, and that he can't leave where he's not believed, and told her deuces. And therefore he left, and she said, "Husband, husband," but nobody answered her. After that, it was a whole lot of shit, let me tell you. This girl went on to search the world for Eros and could not find him, but her quest did lead her to somebody. Aphrodite. Aphrodite then said, "I will let you have my son, but you have to do something for me." She then led this woman to do a bunch of difficult and dangerous tasks. This girl turned from Psyche to Cinderella. She was having her sort through an enormous pile of grains, to which the ants helped her. Second task was that she had to collect wool from this dangerous golden sheep, and she did so. She just waited for it to get caught in the thorn bush and just collected the wool off of there. Might work, no reaction, come on now. For the third task, she had to collect water from a cliff so dangerous no human could reach it, but an eagle did the task in her stead. Aphrodite said, "Oh, it seems all those were too easy for you, a meager human. Here's your final task. Go down to the underworld, talk to Persephone, the queen, and I want you to get a box of an elixir of beauty." Basically saying, she said, "Go yourself and do what I want you to do." Eros had had enough. He basically had to go there and rescue her before she did something stupid. She was then taken up to Mount Olympus, and Eros and her got married. Zeus basically anointed her as the personification of a human soul. In a lot of books, the story did end very differently, but I decided to tell the story how I had read it, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. So I got a comment today from a very old friend. She knows who she is. She just wanted me to do the Titans. If that's something y'all want to continue to see, I'm going to do it. And we're going to start with the first motherfucker. We're just going to start with the first one that I know. And this man was an asshole. I mean, he was good until he wasn't. But whatever. I'm procrastinating. Today, we're going to be talking about Cronus. And when I tell you I had to do some research about him, but god dang. Okay. Let's just start from the beginning, shall we? From chaos came darkness and night. Erebus and Nyx. Together, they drew Aether and Hera, the air and the day. This was what the beginning of the world was as they knew it. Then Gaia spawned Uranus, starry heaven, who then became her husband. Other things were spat out: doom, fate, death, woe, whatever. From Uranus and Gaia were then born the first race of divine children, and Cronus was one of them. 12 of them became known as the Titans. Rhea was one of them. If you don't know her name, learn her name. She is the mother of not only Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, but she is the mother of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Her husband was Cronus, whatever. Now, Uranus hated his kids. He thought that his kids wished to destroy him. The kids were hidden underground, but Cronus was like, I ain't no pussy, I'ma fight. To which he did. When Uranus came looking for him, he already took a sickle off of Gaia and he waited. And when he came around that corner, and then he threw his into the sea, and out from the sea foam popped Aphrodite. Cronus then was like, hey Rhea, what's up? So they got married and then they ended up having kids. But then the oracle told him that his kids are going to overthrow him. So therefore, he said, I'm going to get them before they get me. Specifically, his sons. He didn't care who it was. Everybody got that smoke. So he decided to devour each child that was born. This included Poseidon, Demeter, Hera, and Hestia and Hades were eaten this way as well. You know Hestia. You know, the one that don't do nothing. Yes, I'm going to get on her ass in every video. Rhea was distraught that every single child that she had with this man was being taken away from her. With her distraughtness became her anger, and she came up with a plan. She begged her parents for help while she was pregnant with Zeus, and they decided to whisk her away and help her. They helped her to have the baby be born in safety. There, she was able to have Zeus perfectly fine. He was then hidden in a cave, and instead of wrapping him in the whatsamajigger, she decided to swaddle a bunch of boulders in clothes and give that to Cronus to devour instead. He then swallowed the boulder. Zeus was saved. Cool. Zeus then was raised with nectar, honey, all by Gaia. Zeus became an adult. He said, I'm gonna beat his ass. And so he did. With the help of Metis, the daughter of Oceanus, who we'll talk about some other damn time, he presented his father with a drought that caused him to throw up his kids, Zeus' siblings. And from Tartarus, Zeus released every single thing that he could find, Titans, Cyclops, everybody. He enlisted all of their help to overthrow his father, to which they were like, you have a deal. It ain't about the money. They were so grateful for their freedom, they gifted Zeus with something. What was that something, Alex? Thunderbolt and lightning, that's what it was. So it came to pass that these creatures were gods and they came to live in Mount Olympus as a thank you. With the exception of Oceanus, who swore revenge against them. Whatever. Everybody launched attacks from a bunch of different sides until Zeus could make his final stand. Finally, the three big brothers banded together in order to defeat their father, and Cronus was overthrown. Did he die though? No. Zeus banished him to Tartarus. Let's just say the other Titans didn't really like that. The Titans didn't like a lot of things, even though they had their freedom. They wanted to live on Olympus by themselves. But the gods that he had Cronus throw up wanted to also live on Olympus. So that became a whole waging war between the gods and the Titans, to which the gods won. It was a lot. But finally the gods won. The Titans got banished back to where they came from, and everything was happily ever after. Or so they thought. But what is her connections to the gods, Alex, besides Artemis and Apollo? I'll tell you. Phoebe being one of the Titans, she had siblings like Cronus. Cronus then married Rhea, who then gave birth to Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, and a bunch of other people. Before I even begin with this passage, let me just take you back to the beginning. Uranus and Gaia gave birth to many Titans. This character was one of them. She's what we would know as a Titaness. This character was named Phoebe. So somebody put this in my comment section about this Phoebe character. So we're going to talk about her today. Phoebe's name literally means bright or radiant, which is why her association with the moon makes so much sense. Not only that, but she became known as the goddess of prophecy herself. Her connection to the moon gave her a very unique position in the pantheon. Family is so complicated, like I legitimately forgot that they have grandparents in this whole thing. She was one of the only Titans that did not participate in the war. Therefore, she was allowed to remain free, considering the fact that she passed down the Oracle of Delphi to her grandson, Apollo. Yeah, you heard me right. I said grandson. Apparently, this Titaness is the mother of Leto. Leto is the mother of Artemis and Apollo. She is also the mother of Asteria. Asteria is the mother of Hecate. I didn't know any of this. Making Phoebe, along with all the other Titans, basically the aunts and uncles of Zeus and everybody else. I told you this family was complicated. Let's just make a long story short. Her sister, Asteria, basically became the island that Artemis and Apollo were born on because she was trying to escape Zeus's. But how did she become an oracle, Alex? She herself was called the goddess of prophecy. I hope you realize that. The Oracle of Delphi was underneath Phoebe's guardianship. Like, the very essence of Delphi can all be traced back to Phoebe's radiant energy. Not only did she pass down the Oracle of Delphi to her grandson Apollo, she also passed down her intertwined connection to the moon to her granddaughter Artemis. So all in all, she committed no crimes against any of the 12 gods, against any of the Titans that were her brothers and sisters. Instead, she was allowed to roam free only because of her insight with her prophecy. Other than that, who knows what could have happened to her? But yeah, who's next? So I got a lot of comments that was like, can you ever do Hecate? Or Hecate, however you say it. No. And I will tell you the reason why. I don't want to die. From what I've heard, Hecate is on the on-site crew, and I'm not trying to be added to that list. I talked about Zeus, and it thunderstormed for a week straight. No, thank you. Please note that this video is not to offend anybody, make anybody mad, make anybody feel some type of way. Do what you want to do. Worship who you want to worship. I love you. I love you. I love you. Mwah. So I promised y'all 3 days, and in 3 days, I am here to deliver. Today, we are going to be talking about Lady Nyx. Let's get it going. Her job is literally to control darkness and personify and bring the veil across the night sky to end the daytime. That is her only thing that she does. But apparently some people have a problem with that. Apparently some people think it's a cult. Apparently some people don't like to worship her. What is the problem here? I'm not seeing it. Now, I'm not gonna lie. This woman is only depicted as a bad person because of what her kids did. Not herself. But you want to know why Zeus was afraid? There's a reason. Nyx is one of the primordial goddesses, okay? Child of chaos, along with Gaia, Tartarus, Erebus, and herself. She's one of the oldest, baddest bitches out there. If Zeus thought he could go toe-to-toe with her. She also had this brother named Erebus with who she had a union with. And she had a bunch of kids. One of them being Nemesis. You know, the motherfucker that chases you through Resident Evil 3. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, there was a reason he was sprinting after my ass. He wanted me. With her brother Erebus, she produced Ether and Hemera, light and day. Now, there was a statement in Roman mythology where Nyx and Hades got together and she birthed him the Furies. But that's just Roman mythology, so I don't really know if that's actually truthful. I don't know. On her own, she produced not only death, but a lot of other kids that... Which also included the 3 fates. You know, the people that we saw in God of War that were annoying as shit. Also on her own did she produce Hypnos, Strife, and Pain. You know that nigga from Naruto? You know, the one that's so OP that I'm afraid to fight him in real life. The one where you're gonna have to fight multiple people. Anyway, her children were... Let's just say that like her grandparents, they were the chaos. They were the pain. They were the torture. They did anything and everything to get into mischief. And the mama didn't do shit. So when Hera enlisted the help of one of these children to put her Zeus to sleep, Hypnos, he did his job. However, he wasn't strong enough to keep Zeus down. And therefore, Zeus woke up and Hypnos ran to his mother for protection. And Zeus had to basically say, never mind. Never mind, it's all good. Because what the hell is he supposed to do? Take her on? We all know how that's going to end. And it was at that moment where he found a foe that he could not go toe-to-toe with until he met Kratos. Like, he was legitimately about to take it up to her, being like, I don't know why your son did what he did, but you need to fix it. And then he was like, I don't want no smoke, G. Her son Hypnos also had a twin brother named Thanatos. And let's just say they got into a lot of shit. You think of Thanatos as a quick and painless death, think of Momos as the opposite, a violent one. Now Nemesis, the goddess of wrath, let's just say she sparked revenge over people that either had too much money that wasn't theirs, or if they just deserved it and they had a crime that went unpunished. Now you may be wondering, where is Nyx in all of this? In Tartarus. She was downstairs in Tartarus. She would only come up above ground in order to spread night across the sky and do her job and then go right back home. If that ain't the definition of I'ma clock in, get my bag, and clock the fuck out, I don't know what is. In the end, is Nyx a bad person? No, she just does her job accordingly to what she is. Are her kids bad? Let's just say they could be better. Let's just say they all probably gonna need an ass whooping. But besides Ether and Hemera, they were literally in just a perpetual cycle with their mother. When Nyx came, they left. So when she clocked in, they clocked out. Besides the fact that most of her kids gonna need that Boondocks belt to ass punishment, I'm really not seeing that she was such a bad character. A lot of people were writing her off as a darkish, cultish figure because a lot of people see her as a goddess that they can worship, but it's literally just what she is. That's her job. That was what she was given. She's not a bad person from what I... So, who's next? Like, did anybody else know that this woman was actually in Percy Jackson? Yeah, she was Percy Jackson's stepmama, you know, married to Poseidon. Now you may be wondering, why was Poseidon even attracted to her? There is a word in Greek, I don't even know how to say it, and it means fair-ankled. This woman was showing her ankles. Scandalous. So one of y'all put this in my comment section a long time ago, and I'm finally getting around to doing her today, so let's talk about it. I know I am a day late. I worked late last night. I'm here now, deal with it. So we got a little bit of a different goddess here today, and the reason why it took me so long is because not only did the research have me do a lot of Nereids, it also had me doing the Oceads. This woman has 2 stories, and I didn't know that. Anyway, let's talk about Amphitrite, or Amphitrite, however the hell you want to say it. Let's go. This woman has 2 sides to every story. This woman is literally 2 sides to the same coin, but I'm gonna only tell the side that I like the best. Once was a girl named Amphitrite. She was the daughter of Nereus and Doris, making her one of the 50 and one of the oldest Nereids. However, there is another story where she is also the daughter of Oceanus. I don't really feel like that, because that's going to make it a longer video, so we're not going to do that. Anyway, getting back to the story. The woman is not just the wife of Poseidon, no. She's not just the queen of the sea. She has immortality, hydrokinesis, and superhuman strength. I believe she's the oldest of the Nereids, meaning that she has 50 other siblings, meaning she is tired of your shit. She's one of the nicest people that you will meet, but I promise you, if you piss her off, this is coming from a goddess that knows how to calm the waves and stop the storm from coming. Do not go there. Poseidon apparently saw this girl and fell in love with her at first sight. She denied his request of a marriage proposal and then fled to the Titan Atlas in order to hide. He sent several servants after this girl, and none of them were successful until he sent a dolphin to her side. And the dolphin so persuasively said, "If you marry this man, I promise you he will leave you alone." She said, "Bet." Went down, married him, became queen of the ocean. Story's over. Poseidon was very thankful that the dolphin did this for him, so much so that he put a whole constellation into the sky in the shape of a dolphin. No, I'm just kidding. There's another story where it was like Theseus had to prove that Poseidon was his father, and then he was like, "I'm going to throw this ring into the sea, and then I'm going to dive down to go get it. If I don't come back up, then you guys can have the last laugh. But if I do, that'll prove everything." So he threw the ring into the ocean, and he dived down there. He did not meet Poseidon, but instead, he met his wife, and his wife met Poseidon's illegitimate son. But she was actually happy to see him, and she actually not only gave him the ring back, but a couple other treasures to take back with him to the surface as well. So not only was Theseus able to prove that, he able to do that and more. If y'all don't know, why did Poseidon fall for her? There is a word in Greek, I don't know how to say it, so I'm not even going to try to, and it means that this woman is fair-ankled. This woman was showing her ankles. Scandalous. Aphrodite then married Poseidon, and she gave him a couple different kids, most notably Triton, you know, Ariel's dad. Ever since then, this woman has been depicted riding inside of a chariot being pulled by dolphins with a crab on her head as the queen of the sea. Who's next? She even had a child that she named after herself, being the goddess of discord, and she just named him Discord. Parenting 101. Like, that's like naming your child Virgil after you watch Devil May Cry. Like, bro, you good? So how did I go about making this video? With fear in my heart and terror in my eyes. So since a lot of y'all liked my Nyx video, I thought that we would talk about one of her kids, one of the most famous ones. Today we are going to be talking about Eris. Goddess of so many things bad. Goddess of strife. Goddess of chaos. Goddess of discord. I can go on. Goddess of run these hands, because she does. This woman is the child of Nyx, and apparently she ain't even got a daddy, so you already know she got issues. But apparently she's also the friend and sister to Eris, which would make her the child of Zeus and Hera, but that's only because there was a little bit mixed up with the birth certificate names, that's all. Now, what crimes did this woman commit? There's a lot. Being the goddess of strife, she was not invited to such a person's wedding. This person just happened to be Achilles' mom and dad. Long story short, Achilles' mom and dad were getting married and invited every single one of the Greek gods to attend. However, not wanting strife at their wedding, they decided not to send Eris an invitation. Since she found out that she did not receive such an invitation, she went to the wedding anyway and was refused entry. So therefore, she had already taken one of the apples from Hera's tree and inscribed it to the fairest and threw it into the crowd and said, "Deal with it." When I tell you, it erupted and it started a war. All the goddesses believed that they should get it, but the top three were Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. And I feel like y'all already know where I'm going with this, but this began the judgment of Paris, which then led to the War of Troy. And where was Eris, you might ask? On the sidelines, laughing at what happened. And it wasn't her first time causing mischief and chaos. No. Not only was she the friend to Ares and she would ride with him into battle, but while he was over there, people, she was over there laughing at the fact that he was people. She took joy in it, which is what makes her all the more terrifying. But not only does she take joy in it, but then she decided to have kids, which turned out to be spirits by no baby daddy. But not only did she have kids, each of these kids are crazy. Let's see who we got. We got forgetfulness, we got lies, we got deceit, we got hatred, we got anger, we got Daenerys, we got Cersei, we got everybody, okay? And let's just say whatever these kids represented is exactly what their name represented. She even had a child that she kind of named after herself, being the goddess of discord, and just named his as Discord. Parenting skills, on point. But did she actually, anybody? Yes, many people. Alongside Ares, and she took joy in it. The only reason that she did it was because she found it funny, she found it fun, she found it amusing, and she even did it for sport. So when all of this led to the judgment of Paris, she didn't care. She was laughing the entire time, just watching as it happened. This woman truly is the goddess of chaos. There was also another thing where it was like in a tale of Heracles, and he founded one of these apples. It was small to begin with and decided to try and fight it, and it grew double in size, but he thought he was going to destroy it, but he didn't. So he hit it again and it grew double in size, and Hera told him to stop because that is Eris's apple, and the more that you put strife, the bigger it'll get. But she said if you leave it alone, it won't do anything. But if you keep fighting strife, it'll only get bigger. So it says. And that was true. So do you remember how I was like, I'm afraid to make this video because I know that bad things are happening and all the repercussions are right around the corner? Yeah, that has happened already. I'm so sorry. Don't worry. I'm not making y'all any witnesses to anything that might happen to me, but just know I'm still scared. Anyway, y'all have waited. So let's talk about the story of Athena. Please, please, please do not strike me down. If you want to know what bad things happened to me while I was filming this video, stay tuned to the end. Now, Athena, goddess of wisdom, goddess of battle strategy, goddess of, well, she's just a mommy, ain't she? Nope, she's not a mommy. You know why? Because she is a virgin. And she's serious about her virginism. Do not break that vow, because I promise if you break that vow, the next thing that will be broken is your legs. That's all I'm going to say. So let's just talk about first, before she was even born, let's just talk about how she was conceived, because it was a whole big thing. I'm just going to read it to y'all. That's a lot. I don't like reading. I probably don't even want to know how she was conceived, so if you don't want to know that, I'm going to put the little timestamp right here that you can skip to, but we're going to read it. Only reason I'm reading is because I'm not going to memorize this shit, so yeah. Zeus was strolling on Olympus one morning and noticed a new maiden walking in his garden. She was Metis, a Titaness, daughter of one of his old enemies, but the war was so long ago and she was so beautiful he charged down the slope after her. She turned into a hawk and flew away. He turned into a hawk and flew after her. She flew over the lake and dived and became a fish. He became a fish and swam after her. She climbed on the bank and became a serpent, wriggled away. He changed himself into a serpent and wriggled after her, and he caught her. Then he left her. He heard a bird cry and a fish leap, and those wild sounds combined to become a prophecy which rattled the leaves. Oh, Zeus, Metis will bear a child, a girl, but if she bears again, it will be a son who will Anyway, he spoke softly to her and smiled. She came to him. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and he swallowed her. That afternoon, he suffered a major headache, the worst headache for anyone, god or mortal, he had suffered since the beginning of time. It was exactly as if somebody were inside of him with a spear thrusting in all the soft places in his head. He shouted for Hephaestus, who came rushing up with a hammer and wedge. Zeus put his head on the anvil, and Hephaestus split his mighty skull, then leaped back frightened because out of the head sprang a tall maiden in armor holding a long spear, and this was how Athena was born. The way that she was born gave her dominion over every single intellectual thing. She was the one that taught men how to use tools, taught men how to kind of decipher what books are supposed to be read for, because what the fuck did I just read? She taught him how to invent the axe, plow, ox yoke, wheel, sail. She taught his wife how to spin and weave. She concocted the science of numbers and taught it to men, but never the woman. Never the woman. Do y'all not know who Marie Curie is? Just say Ares and her was always at odds because she was the goddess of battle strategy and she was always one-upping him. She just hated him because he was always trying to be a cocky motherfucker. Now, what crimes did Athena commit? There's a couple. There's a lot. Whenever it comes time for Athena to be wronged, aka this video, she will make sure to take swift justice in making sure that no one wrongs her again. Whether that be the spoken word, whether that be physical justice, it's just something that she does. I'm just going to talk about one. The story of Arachne. She was a weaver. It was her favorite hobby. It was her favorite skill that she had to do. Then she praised to the gods that she was the most greatest weaver in all of the world, even better than Athena herself. So Athena showed up at her door, tap, tap, tap at her goddamn door, and said, I heard you said you were better than me, so what's good? She was speechless. Arachne couldn't say nothing. So therefore, Athena was like, I know, I understand, it's okay. Turns her into a spider so that way she's going to be weaving for the rest of her life. Like, damn. If you're wondering, this is why spiders are called arachnids. It came from that story. A story of justice. Of course, there are other crimes that Athena committed as well, just for her own self-indulgence, self-judgment, and things of her own selfishness. But if you want me to talk about that, comment too, and we'll do a part 2 to this. Now, if y'all want to know all the bad things that happened, bad thing number 1, I posted a YouTube video about it. Make sure to go over there and go watch it. Number 2, tried to watch a stream to calm my nerves, eat some cup noodles, and then the goddamn power went out and it wasn't even goddamn raining outside. Like, no rain, not a drop, none on the forecast. So therefore, the microwave went out when I tried to make my cup noodles, and then the goddamn TV went out so I couldn't watch my damn stream. So I couldn't eat nothing and I couldn't watch nothing. And then the moment that I finally can settle in and I thought everything was going to be okay, I'm like, I'm craving something sweet. I'm going to get a candy apple. It was rotten. I ate a rotten candy apple and I didn't know until I made it to the middle of the core, and that pissed me off. And then something bit me in my goddamn bed and my knee swelled up to the size of a goddamn grapefruit. So I don't know what the hell is going on anymore, but all I know is that I gotta be very careful when speaking out of turn now. So not a lot of people checked on me after I made that video, and it's because I got, but I'm back, baby. You might be wondering, how did you get got? I got food poisoning, I got stomach flu, as well as it was a lot. 103.2 degree fever, but we're just going to talk about part 2. Let's just get into it. So last time I told y'all about the story of Arachne, but we're not going to talk about that again because I've already been having a little bit of a problem with the spider. Now I don't want it coming from my ass. I was going to talk about the story of Medusa, but people seem to have conflicting theories about that, but we're not going to talk about that either. Let's talk about somebody that she wronged to this day. Not only did she force other people, but she also drove other people to madness in which they also took their lives. There was also that whole thing with my baby Hephaestus and Harmonia. Oh, Hephaestus, he didn't deserve the... Like I said, you can only drive somebody so far until they start giving the treatment back. Me. She wronged me. No, I'm just kidding. So instead, we're going to be talking about Ajax. And no, I'm not talking about the shit that you clean your bathroom with, because he basically caused a lot of trouble for the city. Not only did this man decide to slander Athena's name, but he also decided to desecrate her temple, in which Athena took very, very swift justice. Not only did this man, but she sent a plague onto this entire city to where even the Oracle of Delphi had to intervene. She basically said, how about if they send 2 maidens who are unmarried to you every year, we can get rid of this nonsense. 2 maidens to basically for the next 1,000 years. Not just that, but there were swift customs. Okay, A, they had to be unmarried. B, if they survived the journey, they had to clean up the sanctuary forever, and they had to remain unmarried for the rest of their lives. B, if they did not survive the journey, say there was somebody on the road that wanted to, with the women, they had to send more women in their place. All just because Ajax had to run his mouth instead of running his hands. Over 500 women, possibly more, had to either go to their deaths, or they had to go and swiftly clean the sanctuary for eternity and remain unmarried and remain a virgin, because if they didn't, Athena would take justice on them immediately. Bro, there's so much other stuff that she did, but we're not going to get into it.